and they don't see the stress attacks. They don't see the 70, 80-hour work weeks. They don't see the sleepless nights. They don't see the bankruptcy that I had to file. They don't see my home was being foreclosed on. They don't see the failed marriage and everything that I had to do with it. They walk on your chapter 20, and then they go, oh wow, the guys just had it easy. Man, you have no idea.
All right, what's up guys? Welcome back to the 1%er podcast. I'm excited for today because Sam and I are always talking to great entrepreneurs, but today I'm actually going to be interviewing him. We're going to be going over his story, his life, how he's built his business, and so I'm excited, man. Let's dig in.
Well, let's go, man. I'm
Awesome,
excited
man.
too.
So a lot of people come from hard times, hard places, but you come from one of the hardest places in the world to come from. If anybody has overcome adversity, it's you. So why don't you talk about where you come from, what your childhood was like, and how you came to the United States?
Well, I come from a very hard place, but one thing that I did have, I would mention, that I had a loving family.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a father, but my grandparents was there for me, and my mom was a very loving mother, and she did the best as a single mom for me. So I had that to my advantage. I was born in Tehran, Iran, which is a third world country, and not too long after I was born, there was a revolution.
Mm-hmm.
They took over the country. The Shah of Iran had to flee the country, and the Islamic Republic took over. And at that time, my mom and my dad got divorced. And also then we started war with Saddam Hussein, or Saddam Hussein started war with us. And I remember, it was like yesterday, that every night we had a rolling blackout of the city. And people, we went down to the basement. There were sirens all around the city, which meant that we were under attack. Mm-hmm. And there were bombs dropping on us, on a nightly basis.
That's crazy. Can you still see it in your head?
I can still see it. I remember vividly, looking up in the sky, and it looked like fireworks, but it wasn't. It was, because if you ever seen anti-air missiles, it looks like fireworks. It's like fireworks are going up in the sky, but they're bullets.
Yeah.
And then you see planes, flying by, and you hear the planes and all that kind of stuff. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah. So, what did that teach you, man? You're actually scared for your life. It's not just you're in a bad situation and stuff like that, but you actually in the possibility of dying, like a war zone. What is that like as a kid, and how do you not become so with PTSD? How do you get past that?
It's crazy, Justin, because when you're a kid, mm-hmm. you're so resilient.
Yeah.
That you think, you start to think that everything that you see is normal. If you are a kid and you see people getting shot and killed, that becomes your normal.
Yeah.
If you're a kid and you see mansions and swimming pools, you think that's normal.
Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning, when I was a kid, I was like, oh well, this is normal. War is normal.
Uh-huh.
Getting bombed at every night is normal. Getting searched everywhere you go, it was normal. Not having freedom of speech is normal. So that's what was my reality was. Not till later on in life where I experienced, wait a second, those things weren't normal.
Yeah.
Wow. You actually have freedom of speech in this country. You can, a lot of times when the U.S. goes to war, we don't hear nothing here. You don't hear machine guns or planes coming out here.
Yeah.
So I realized that what I experienced wasn't normal. But I tell you right now that so many people who were older, in that time, started getting PTSD. Because they know the difference between what's good and what's bad. When you're a kid, when you're born into something like that, it's crazy. I tell you one thing, man. I would never want my kids to experience what I experienced in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I can't even imagine that. It's growing up. You say you were 3, 4, 5 years old, and bombs. And I can't even imagine that.
I think the biggest PTSD I have is not having a dad over the war. Believe it or not.
Really.
I swear, because I think as kids, especially, I think a boy, they need their father.
Absolutely.
I mean, how many times you hear statistics that, kids that don't have father, they start 3 times, 4 times more likely to go to jail.
Yeah.
And I did go to jail. I did mess up. I'm one of those statistics. I got in trouble when I was younger. But looking back, the war was bad enough, but all of a sudden waking up and my dad not being there. My dad and my mom divorced, and my dad moved to Canada. I didn't see him after that ever. It was tough. I remember, like I said, everybody going places and their dad was there. Everybody, during Christmas time and all the holidays, their dad was there. And I'm the only one that not have a dad. And that to this day, I think really scarred me, more than being in war and seeing bombs dropping, dropping on me.
Yeah, my dad has been in and out since I was 10. So for the last 10 years, I can relate to that. There's stuff that like, is he gonna show up to this? And he doesn't there, and I get disappointed and stuff like that. So I can, and you definitely see it, especially in today, and how not having that father figure is detrimental to people as they grow up, man. Like with everything that's going on, so much of this could be fixed by father in the home. And it's,
I'm glad you brought that up. Like, what my routine is, right?
Yeah.
And and once I had my child, my boy right now here, I make sure I go to the gym and I come and I spend a couple of hours with him, uninterrupted, just me and him. I take him for a walk, and he's almost 1, and I can see the bond that he has already with me because I spend the time with him.
Yeah.
And when I was from my previous marriage, I didn't have the luxury of spend. I need to go to work. I need to go to the gym, go to work, and I was going all day.
Yeah.
So I didn't spend the time that I'm doing with my child now, and I can see the bonding difference.
Yeah.
And so it's very important for us. And I know a lot of people don't have the luxury to stay home or work from home and all that kind of stuff, but whatever you do is very important that you make time. There's always going to be time for work. There's always going to be time to hustle. There's always going to be time, but you got to make time for your children, for you to bond. They say you need quality time over quantity time. I don't believe in that. You need both. You need both quality time and quantity time. You just need to be with your child, be present. Even if I'm working from home. If he's like walking or he's in his rower, he sees daddy and he knows that I smile at him and he smiles at me. It's that constant recognition. That's very important.
Yeah. So guys, I mean, if you have kids, he's saying growing up in Iran wasn't the most traumatic thing. It was not having his dad around. So like that just shows how important as a parent, as a mom and as a dad, just being there for your kids and being present with them. But how did those two things affect who you are today, and how have they how has that changed how you thought you would be?
Growing up, because we were poor, we came to the United States with $500 and 1 luggage. Me and my single mom, I mean, we went through it, man. I mean, I know we're going through some crazy times right now in the world, where there's a lot of racism, there's a lot of, a lot of different things that we're looking at on TV, on social media. But I mean, we came to America, in the middle of nowhere, America, in a little town in Pennsylvania called Sharon, talking about, getting bullied, being called names, going through it. I experienced it all, and everything that I've experienced really made me who I am today. Yeah. Not having a father made me realize how important that is. And now, I'm a super dad. I've planned. It's so funny, Justin. This morning between sets when I was lifting, I found out that you can do something to build your kid's credit score right now. I'm not joking.
That's the same thing.
No. I was doing a set and I was sitting down. I was looking at the phone. And there are certain credit cards like Chase credit cards and all that kind of stuff that you can actually add your kids to your card, your card, which will give them credit history. Imagine, my 1-year-old, by the time he's 18, he's going to have 17 years of credit history. Because I put him on the card and all that kind of stuff. So these are kind of things that goes through my mind. As soon as my kids were born, I started a college account and a growth account for them. And I made it automatic so that I don't have a choice. I can't even stop it. I literally don't have the username and password to that account, so that it automatically hits my account every month when I get paid, and it goes. And I tell you right now, Justin, there was times that I'm like, I'm kind of tight this month. Maybe I shouldn't, but I couldn't stop it. I'm like, you know what? I committed for the next 18 years for each of these child to put X amount of money away. And I look at their account, I'm like, you know what, man? I'm so glad I did now.
So what's the difference between you, who has gone through that trauma and made a better decision because of it, and someone who goes through that and then uses that as an excuse of why their life is bad?
Well, I think in life, that's a great question. I think in life you can go really 2 ways. You can see what your predecessors have done, and or what your environment has done, and do just like that. Or you can say, you know what, I want to go the opposite way. If you look at some of the kids that are come from, dysfunctional families, they either become dysfunctional just like the families, or they become just totally opposite. And you really have a choice in life. We all want better for our life. For example, we came to this country for a better life, right? And I know, there's some traditions, some Persian traditions that, I really don't agree with. Persian ways that I don't really agree with. And, all the Persians are like, well, aren't you Persians? I am Persian, but I'm my own person.
Yeah.
I'm my own person. So we come to, and we kind of modify everything, for our betterment. Just because you have been dealt a certain cards, that doesn't mean you have to keep those cards. You can change those cards around in poker.
Okay, I like that. So then talk to me about when you came to Sharon. Talk to me about what that situation was like growing up there.
Bro, Sharon, to this day, I call that my hometown because it really molded me. I'm going to talk about something that, might piss a lot of people off, and I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to tell people, trying to tell my perspective that I think bullying is a fact of life.
Absolutely.
It's a fact of life. I mean, you can't stop bullying. I mean, United States bullies people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that goes up, hey man, don't do this or we're gonna come fuck you up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't do that. Or if you're gonna do that, there's gonna be consequences. You know what I mean? And in school and in life, there's always a bigger person, or whether it is bigger person as far as physical strength, bigger person as far as financial strength. They're going to try to bully the smaller person, all that kind of stuff. And just like you said, you can, some people when they get bullied, they kind of retreat and go back and they disassociate with the world. Or so when some people get bullied, they say, you know what, I'm going to beat the bully, I'm going to overcome the bully, and all that kind of stuff. So when I came to America, it was 1985. I came to Sharon, Pennsylvania. Justin, I was expecting to go to Beverly Hills because they didn't have the internet back then. I couldn't go on the internet and search where I'm going. So my market research at 10, 11 years old was I was watching American TV shows. And you're too young to know these TV shows, but there were TV shows like called Dallas Dynasty and the A-Team. So people in their 40s, they probably know that. You probably know the A-Team because they remade a movie recently.
Okay.
And they showed all these multi-million-dollar people, millionaires that have, mansions, Cadillacs, Bentleys, swimming pools, and I thought, man, America, we're going to paradise. And everybody talked about America. So I thought America was just paradise. I thought I was going to come to homes like this. I thought everybody had swimming pools and, and all that kind of stuff. But, they never showed the ghetto.
Yeah.
They never showed the rough parts, and fortunately, I'm glad it happened. I didn't go to Beverly Hills. I went to Sharon, Pennsylvania in 1985, where all the steel mills, Sharon, Pennsylvania is a steel mill town, blue collar. But at that time, all the steel jobs were going to China, and all these steel mills shut down, which means all these factories are abandoned.
Okay.
So there's abandoned buildings, brick roads, dirty factories, and all that kind of stuff. And as soon as my uncle picked us up from the airport, he went to his store, which was literally across the steel mill, across the street from a steel mill. And there was brick roads, abandoned buildings. Outside of his store was, I saw prostitutes. I saw, drug dealers. I saw pimps, and I'm not exaggerating. What I'm saying, I'm not exaggerating. I mean, a lot of people, there's not exaggeration. To this day, if you go to that street, there are signs on the street that says no loitering or you get arrested, because there's so much drug activity going on.
Really?
So when I got there, I was like, wow, and then I went out to school to enroll in 7th grade. I wanted to play, football, football, the real football.
Soccer.
The soccer, right? And there's like, no, that's not the real football. Football is, this is American football. So I was really confused. I'm like, man, this is crazy. I don't know what this kind of football is. To this day, I don't know what really baseball is all about. I really don't know. I just know you get 3 strikes and you got to run the bases. I don't know why there's different innings and all that. I don't understand that. But I'm like, okay, I needed to belong. One of the biggest things we need as humans is a sense of belonging. Tony Robbins talks about it all the time.
Yeah.
We need to belong to something, to some group. And especially as a preteen teenager, you want to be accepted. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to try out for the basketball team. So I never forget, I bought some basketball shoes. My mom bought me some basketball shoes to try out for the basketball team. I'm like, okay, this is going to be my new thing now. I'm going to be a basketball player, and all that. So I was so happy. It was a winter morning, and the coach said, let's scrimmage, let's figure out, what we're going to do. After the scrimmage, he sat us all in the bleachers, and he said, hey, if I call your name, you're going to make the team. If I didn't call your name, you didn't make the team. Justin, 23 people tried out for the basketball team. 22 made it. And guess who didn't make it? Me. And I was so embarrassed. I was so devastated. Mm-hmm. I literally started bawling. I ran out to the gym and walked all the way to school. And I cried the whole time. It was a cold Pennsylvania winter. It was snowing, slushy. And in my new shoes, I walked all the way home and went to my room, shut the door, bawling. And my mom came and said, what happened? And I said, Mom, I don't like this country. Nobody likes me. I don't belong. Everybody's making fun of me. I'm getting bullied. I'm getting beat up. I literally, Justin, I got beat up by a girl.
Really?
For real. I got beat up by a girl. I mean,
yeah,
for real.
Okay.
I got beat up by, this was like one of those, big girls, like, I'm talking about that, in every high school, in every school in high school, there's that one girl that can whoop like 99% of the guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wasn't even trying to fight her, you know what I mean? And she literally grabbed me and just threw me in the locker. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, I never forget that. It was like, I'm like, damn. I mean, she was like twice my size.
Uh-huh.
And so I told my mom, I don't, I want to go home. And she said, Sam, we don't have that luxury. We escaped the country as refugees. So I said, she said, what you have, here's the plan. See, my mom always taught me one thing. Always taught me the value of discipline and hard work. She always instilled that in me. She's like, you know what? If you want to work hard, you got to work hard. You got to be consistent, and you can do whatever you want. That's something that was embedded in me as soon as I remember, opening my eyes. That's one thing that I'm grateful for my mom. She said I can be whatever I want to be as long as I'm willing to put in the work. So she said, here's what you're going to do. After school, after you get off at 2:15, you're going to walk to the boys club, which is about a mile and a half away. You're going to go in there. You're going to practice basketball till 5 o'clock. After that, I'll pick you up after work. We'll go home. You do your homework, eat, and go to sleep. So that was the plan. That would be, that right there also showed me the power of scheduling.
Yeah.
Scheduling, which is very important. And I always talk about how important schedule is for everyone. So I had a game plan. What time I'm going to go to work. What time I was going to go to school. What time I was going to go practice. What time I was going to do homework. What time I was going to eat. Rinse and repeat, And so one day when I was going to practice basketball.
Hold on. I want to stop you right there real quick. Because most parents would have gone to the school, asked the coach, hey, why didn't my son make the team? But I love how your mom was like it's not the coach's fault. It's not the school's fault. It's your fault. You weren't good enough. Yeah. And I think that goes to show, like a lot of people ask, and I was wondering this question myself, is that born or bred? Is that spirit are you born with that? Are you born a fighter? Are you born someone who when they face hardship, you're gonna come back and try to get it better the next time? But I feel like that's bred. Your mom instilled that in you. Yeah. Your mom instilled that spirit in you and that discipline and hard work, like you say. And so, so many people, especially today, parents are gonna call the school. Parents are gonna, it's the coach's fault. My son is perfect. Why didn't? And it's just.
You don't want to start that kind of mentality at that age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't want to. You want your son to be so good that everybody falls over hands and heels for him. They want him. If he is borderline good, then guess what? He's not good enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And my mom always told me there's no handouts in life.
Yeah.
You know, she always told me there's no handouts in life. My mom, as a single mom, came to the United States with $500, literally, worked her ass off, and she built an empire for herself. She really did. You know, and I saw her work. I saw her working 14, 15 hours a day. I saw her making frequent trips to New York to buy, to buy more stock and to buy more, buy more products to be able to sell in her store.
Okay.
So I seen her. I mean, I remember she had a beat up old car. She'll drive to New York, which is 6 hours away from Sharon, on a weekly basis, just to get more products to come back and sell.
I feel like that is the greatest privilege. I feel like, especially today, man, I don't think it's the color of your skin. I don't think it's where you come from. I think it's how you're raised and in the environment that you grow up in. Because Gary Vee talks about it. He's like, the greatest privilege I ever had was my parents instilling that stuff in me. And a guy who comes from where you come from and where you're at now, I feel like that just differentiating factor is your mom and is how you were raised, man. And that's such like a valuable thing, especially today. Because if it was the opposite, once you get into the real world, it's gonna knock you in your teeth. You're gonna find out, there's no participation trophy, there's no handouts, there's none of that.
You know what? You're right. I think that, I tell this to my wife all the time. I tell her, I said, our job as parents is to raise functioning and contributing members of society. Somebody who is self-sufficient, somebody who is able to take care of themselves long after we're gone. And it's easier said than done. Absolutely. Because you want your kids to be comfortable. You want, to fight for your kids. And, there's a place and time for that. You know what I mean? But most importantly, you want to be able to have them be able to fight for themselves, be able to figure, problem solve for themselves, and not have to rely on you for everything.
Yeah, yeah. And it contributes to entitlement a lot. Because so many kids today are entitled, man. So many of my friends, I'm 20, so many of my friends are just entitled. Mom, give me your credit card. Mom, do this for me. And they don't have that independent spirit to work for themselves. Like I remember I was listening to your story and you were talking about how you wanted your Volkswagen GTI. You went out and worked for it. People today don't do that.
I busted my ass for that car, Justin.
Yeah.
I literally busted my ass. I wanted that car and I wanted it so bad. I read every car and driver and road and track, every magazine. I knew every stats on that car. I mean, literally every stat. I knew that car, and I just had that one thing on my mind. And back then, man, I was, minimum wage was $3.35 an hour. And I was working, and I just wanted somebody to give me enough hours. So I had to go to, a cheese factory in Wilmington, Pennsylvania, which is 30 minutes away, on the weekends to work graveyard to be able to get enough hours so I couldn't afford that car. That's how bad I wanted that car. Side story though, I got that car. One day I went to the cheese factory and I was kind of racing my friend back, and I made a wide turn. I took a turn a little too fast and kind of messed up the suspension. It's kind of a side story. And every time I go back home, I looked at that intersection. I'm like, oh, that's where I wrecked my car. It's like my whole world wrecked.
That's funny. Man, so what do you learn working in the cheese factory like that? What do you learn hustling like day and night for that car, for that one thing?
Bro, let me tell you a couple of stories. I don't know. I think I probably told you. I don't know if you remember. But working at the cheese factory was, wow. I mean, it's, gosh, it was traumatic. It was traumatic. First, it was a real factory with cows and blades, and it was a factory. That they make cheese for all the different brands, and you see them, a label and all that kind of stuff. And I was the person who had to make sure the cheese doesn't get stuck in the assembly line, and the cheese is in salt water, right? So I have to make sure I move cheese along all the time to salt water, and salt eats up your nails and your hands, for 8 hours of, doing this, or that. But when we went there, it was the middle of an Amish country. And there were some less than desirable people that worked there. This is a job that doesn't require a lot of skill, so it wasn't like educated people or anything like that. So it's just factory workers. Blue collar factory workers in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, which they're racist as fuck. You know what I mean? And so I remember after going there, and I remember I'm in like 10th grade, 9th grade. I'm working there, and I'm 130 pounds soaking wet, and I walk in there one day, and I saw this guy, man. He was like probably like 6'4", 6'5", 270, 280, wearing a shirt that says, fuck Iranians.
Wow.
I'm from Iran, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, man, okay, I'm just going in there, I'm just doing my job. And I come again the next day, wearing the same shirt. So he just wore that same shirt for like a week at a time, like the whole week. Maybe, I don't know when he washed it, but seriously, I wondered that, So I remember one time I was moving the cheese along, and the guy was like a big white guy that wore that shirt. Then this big black guy named Kevin, I never forget that, he comes up to me. He goes, hey, aren't you Iranian? I go, yeah. He goes, you see that guy's shirt? I go, yeah. He goes, well, that's not bothering you? I'm like, dude, I'm just here to make my money, man. I'm like, I don't want no problems. And he goes, no. He goes, F that, I'm like, let's go talk to him. I'm like, no, man, I don't want to go talk to him. He goes, no, let's go talk to him. So he took my hand. I'm like, let's go. We're gonna walk over there and talk to him. Now I'm going to the other room, which there's like blades that they cut cheese like if you throw your hand, your hand will get cut off, right? And all of a sudden he approaches the other guy and goes, hey, did you know he was Iranian? And he goes, yeah, so what? He goes, well, just because you can beat him up, that doesn't mean you can beat me up. If you could beat me up, then you were, wear a shirt that says F the blacks. You know what I mean? And so he goes, take that shirt off before I fuck you up, basically. I'll never forget, Justin, 5'5", 130 pounds, 6'6", 250, 6'4", 270, staring at each other like this. I'm in the middle of it. There's blades all the way around. I'm about to have a bowel movement. You know what I mean? Like, I'm about to, you know what I mean? I'm going like this. I'm going like, I'm going to die right now. Yeah. I'm going to die. I'm going to get caught up in the middle of these two guys. There's like, collectively about 500 pounds, and there's blades here. And so the guy finally said, all right, I'm going to take the shirt off. And, talking about discrimination, bullying in that factory, people calling you names. I remember one guy just one day came up to me, go, hey man, do your job right. He just pushed me and I flew like 10 feet, in the water. And, in the water, the floor was full of water and all that kind of stuff. But again, that taught me resilience, because I was not willing to give up my dream, for what I wanted. I was willing to endure the bullying. I was willing to endure the racism, and I, that taught me that, there's going to be obstacles. There's going to be naysayers. There's going to be people who don't approve of you, but that's none of your business. Yeah.
Do you think people have gotten softer?
Oh my God, my God. That's not even, that's an understatement. Yeah. I'm gonna call it like it is, man. There is a pacification of America happening, as we go through life right now. I remember when I went, every year I go back to Sharon to give a, $10,000 scholarships. You guys vet them out for me. Yeah. You guys go through the applications and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, now in the halls, there's like a bullying hotline. If somebody's bullying you, bro, where was that when I was on? I got beat up. I got called in. I got bullied left and right. I got beat up by a girl. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like I said, I'm not trying to minimize that. But where is our resilience? Yeah. Where is our, there's sometimes that there's a point in life that, you say, you know what, fuck you. I don't care what you say. I'm going to show you by becoming successful, by becoming the best that I can be, by becoming bigger, stronger. And that's what I did. Yeah. That's what I did. When somebody bullied me, you know what, guess what? I'm just going to go in the summer. I'm going to live in the weight room. That's what I did one summer.
Yeah, I feel like that spirit's gone. Where like you come home and you're getting bullied and the dad takes you out of the backyard and he's like, all right, like I'm gonna teach you how to fight. Right. That's gone.
Bro, my son, somebody come bully him. First of all, he's gonna go to jiu-jitsu right as soon as he's ready to go. Yeah, you know what I mean? I want to do like he's going to jiu-jitsu right away. But I'm telling you right now, man. For me, if my son get bullied, I'm not gonna step in. I want to tell him how to handle it. you know, and, you know, I don't know if my wife's going to be okay with it or not. I don't care if everyone's going to be okay with it. But I think that we should problem solve ourselves and be, you know, try to figure it out.
Yeah, and that sets him up to be successful in life. Because I feel like how you deal with problems as a kid, especially bullying and other people, is very indicative of how you will deal with problems.
I'm gonna tell you I'm gonna give you an example. You know, we were at a public pool a few years ago, and both my daughters were, you know, in the pool. And I remember my little Haley, some little kid was like pushing him around, and I was laying back, and my mom was with me. My mom was like, "Oh my God, did you see him?" So it's so funny because when I was her kid, she didn't do nothing about it, right? Yeah. But now as grandparents have become softer, right? And I'm like, "Mom, she all right?" She was like, "No, go there." I'm like, "Let her handle her own," you know. And so I just kick back and see how they handle it. And it's funny because, you know, even though her sister and her fight all the time, when somebody else was picking up her, you know, picking at her smaller sister. You know, my Bailey, my oldest one, went over there with her chest all puffed out. Yeah. Hey, don't touch my sister. And I'm like, yes, that's what I want to be able. You guys get each other's back, and you guys problem solve yourself. I'm not going to go in there and get it, you know, stare down a little kid. Yeah, you know, it's all good.
Yeah. So then, okay. So talk to me about how you got into fitness, because that's really what changed your life, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, so you know, when I went to the boys' club to get better at basketball, I'll never forget there was this little room. You know, people went upstairs, and I don't know what that room was. But every time I see people going up or coming down, these guys were yoked. These guys were yoked, and I'm like, and back then, man, you know, I was like infatuated with the Rocky movies, the Sylvester Stallone, and you know, it was Arnold Schwarzenegger with the Commander and the Terminator. I remember literally staring at Arnold's bicep for like. I'm like, how the hell? Like, I was like infatuated. Like, what the hell? I want to be like that, right? Yeah. And these guys were like swole like him. And I'm like, what's going on upstairs? I never forget. So I remember, you know, I went upstairs one day. I looked, and there was a bunch of old, you know, steel workers, you know, lifted insane weights, spin tobacco, they had chalks on their hand, lifted, yelling, and bringing their own boombox. I'm like, oh my God. I was like so intimidated because I was like I said, 130 pounds soaking wet.
That's really intimidating.
Yes, I was soaking wet. These guys were doing insane, you know. But remember I told you that, we need to belong. That is so important in life. We need to belong to something, some group. That is like the number one primary need of a human. And by that time, I didn't belong to any group. You know, I wasn't black, I wasn't white, I was in a place that was very homogeneous, and I didn't have a sport. I was trying to get into basketball, but I still wasn't in the basketball team. So when I went to the weight room, I saw these guys, as big as they were very welcoming. You know, they didn't judge me that I was all kind of scrawny, and you know, they didn't judge me that I couldn't do the bar. I couldn't do the bar, Justin. I couldn't do the bar. The bar was going like this, and they actually took me under their wing. They showed me what they were doing. You know, they gave me some tips on eating. And next thing you know, these big intimidating guys became my friends. They became my mentors. You know, that became my gang, if you will. That's cool. You know what I mean? So every day after work, after school, I went up there and I started lifting. And it's crazy because the first time I lifted, the next morning, I thought I died. I literally thought I died. I couldn't get up. I couldn't move. I was like, what did I get myself into? I was like, literally, the soreness was so bad. I went and got a ball of Bengay, rubbed it all over my body, including my balls. I didn't know you couldn't touch her. You know what I mean? I mean, I didn't know any of that kind of stuff. I rubbed it everywhere. I'm like, this is good. I rubbed it all over my balls too. You know what I mean? And they just, effed me up, right? And but as the soreness got a little bit better and better, I went back to the weight room, and I think that weight room is so similar to life. Because when I couldn't do the bar, a couple of weeks later, I was able to add 10 pounds to it. All of a sudden, I'm like, wait a second, I'm improving. After a few weeks, maybe I add 25 pounds to it. After a few weeks, next thing you know, after a few months, I'm doing a plate. I'm like, wait a second, I'm doing that was a huge fit because I couldn't even do the bar. And in life, no matter where you are, there's going to be an obstacle in the way. There's going to be a weight in the way. There's going to be an obstacle in the way. So, no matter, people think that, well, once you become successful,
It's easy.
You know, you don't have any more obstacles, and everything's going to be just sunshine and rainbows, right? And it's not like, okay, people, that song, More Money, More Problems. It's not more money, more problems. It's more money, different kind of problems.
Yeah.
Every stage of your life is going to present a different obstacle. And in the weight room, even at my biggest and my strongest, there was always a weight that I couldn't do. You know what I mean? And so that taught me in life, no matter what, you have to overcome obstacles, and you're never going to be without obstacles. And I always say this, and in life, you're either in a problem, left a problem, or headed towards one. So get used to it.
Yeah. So then you found fitness, you found weightlifting, and then how did that transfer into college and everything, and actually when you got into it as a career?
So once I started developing baby muscles, baby muscles, I always say, is the muscles that you can only tell on yourself. Nobody else can say you have muscles.
I know them well.
You know what I mean? So I remember, like, I was in the mirror, and I was like looking at checking myself out. I'm like, whoa, look at this line here. I was like, whoa, it's working. So as soon as I saw a little bit of results, I literally got infatuated, obsessed. I'm that kind of person that once I love something, I become obsessed. I want to know everything to know about it. When I want to buy the GTI, I want to know everything about it. When I started, seeing the transformation in my body, I started buying every magazine. I started buying books. I started studying it. I started going to GNC. Like, I would literally go be at GNC aisles for hours, looking at every label, looking at everything. The lady will come out, can I help you? No, I'm just staring at this label. I want to see what's in here, what vitamins it has. And every time I had a little allowance, I would go to GNC. I would literally come up with a magazine, come up with a workout program, buy this GNC pill, amino acid, the latest thing that they had. I would literally in the basement working out, doing one set. I would pop a pill, then flex in the mirror to see if there's anything happening, like it would magically, like all of a sudden something happened, and I knew that that's what I want to do the rest of my life, because not only what it did for me on the physical part, but how my self-esteem changed, how the way I view myself changed, the way all of a sudden people started accepting me in school changed. All of a sudden I went from the guy who now everybody wanted to be, oh, Sam, wow, what did you do over the summer? Wow, you got muscles, what I mean? And all of a sudden I saw that work. I can change the direction of my life.
Yeah.
By committing and becoming something to that nobody else is willing to commit to.
Yeah.
And that's when the whole transformation game came along. And back then, the guy who was the transformation god was the guy by the name of Bill Phillips, a great friend of mine and one of my mentors. He actually has a book called transformation.com back then, and he owned a magazine called Muscle Media 2000. And also a supplement company called EAS, Experimental and Applied Sciences. And I remember, following him, and he was like a god to me. Everything he said, I bought, and did. And I realized that transformation not only a physical thing, it's also a mental thing, and it's also that you can transform every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
So that's when I knew that that's what I want to do. Transformation is what I want to do in life. But my mom always said, Sam, there's only one thing that I want you to be, because she comes from an old school, Middle Eastern background, and back then, in our former country, if you're not a doctor, lawyer, or engineer, you're a nobody. So she said, Sam, I want you to become a doctor. So when I knew that, I was towards the end of my high school, I'm like, okay, I need to become a doctor, but what kind of doctor? What do I want to do? So I started researching what doctors have to do with muscles, bones, and nutrition, and I came up with chiropractic. I went to chiropractic school.
Did you ever have the thought of disobeying your mom and not pursuing medicine or something like that?
I didn't. Not with that. Not with that. I mean, I had some rebel years as teenagers. That I didn't do everything my mom wanted to do. I was, again, I got in trouble. Hanging around the wrong crowds and all that kind of stuff. But that part, because it was embedded to me as a child. Like, okay, doctor, lawyer, engineer. In our former country and in our old mentality, you're successful if you put on a suit and a tie and you go to a workplace.
Yeah.
If you're not, you're just a commoner. You're nobody.
Yeah. So how long were you in school for?
I went to school for 8 years.
8 years. Did you like it, or what was that like?
You know, I love the subjects that had to do with transformation. You know, so I remember like, you know, the subjects that had to do with transformation, you know, like the chemistry, biochemistry, you know, I love that. I love, you know, nutrition. But I mean, like history and statistics. I'm like, why do I have to have history and statistics? I'm like, that's not what I'm going to use. You know, so, you know, I didn't like those classes.
So at the time you started, did you know that chiropractic wasn't what you wanted to do? You were just kind of settling for it?
I knew chiropractic was not what I wanted to do, but I knew chiropractic was going to teach me all the stuff that I needed to know to become a transformation expert.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because in chiropractic school, you know, we learn anatomy, physiology, biomechanics, biochemistry, nutrition, and also how your body works as a whole.
Yeah.
You know, so that I can apply it to my clients when I get them. It was a very expensive education because you can literally, you know, go and get a personal certification course for $300.
Yeah.
I spent $150,000 on mine.
Yeah. So when you're going through that, because I'm kind of in that similar place, how do you kind of like just put up with it for 8 years, like you said, when it's not what you wanted to do afterwards, when you like had this passion for weightlifting and all that stuff? How do you endure that for so long when you felt like there was something better that you could be doing?
You know, that's a great question. And, you know, for me, you know, I love the process though. I mean, Justin, here's the thing you have to understand. You know, you're super young, right?
Yeah.
You have the whole world ahead of you, right? Couple of years of doing things that kind of builds your character.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, you know, and you have your whole life to figure out what you want to do. You know, but what I love about college and what it taught me, you know, and I'm going to say on the record that I don't think college is a prerequisite to success. We know billionaires and people who've not gone to college to become successful, you know, but it did teach me a lot of intangibles, you know, like, you know, being punctual, you know, working under pressure, you know, multitasking, you know, and embracing the suck.
Yeah.
You know, embracing the suck. I mean, that's something that I want people to understand, man. Sometimes you have to embrace the suck, you know, and learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah. So were you weightlifting and bodybuilding while you were in school?
I was weightlifting, bodybuilding, and working 2 jobs.
How'd you handle all that?
Great question, man. I don't know how to handle it. Like when I look back, I'm like, God, man, I put so much on myself, so much on myself. I was always the guy who, you know, was like, I can do everything, you know, and I never thought that, you know, there was like, okay, you know, I never accounted for sleep. You know what I mean? I always, you know, I'm like, all right, I have 24 hours a day. Well, wait a second. No, you don't. You know, you gotta sleep sometime, but I never accounted for that, you know? And so, you know, I never was the guy who took 12 units in college. You know, oh, I'm just going to get enough for full time. No. I was the guy who was taking minimum 18 units, you know? So I was taking 18 units. You know, I was, you know, bodybuilding and competing. And I had 2 jobs. One of them as a personal trainer and one of them as a bouncer at a cowboy bar. You know, at Penn State University. Bar. I was at the cowboy bar, man, you know, and if you know anything about cowboy bars go down, man. I mean, those cowboys like to fight. Those cowboys like to get drunk and they like to fight. You know, and you know, so the bouncers were needed there, man. And every night there was some kind of a fight and some kind of drama there.
Were you ever lazy? Because I feel like hearing all this, you weren't.
No, I don't believe in lazy. You know, I don't believe in. I believe in being lazy and schedule lazy.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you know, I believe in, okay, you know, I'm gonna be lazy on Sunday and just have a chill day. But I need to if I get all of this done, then I'll chill on Sunday. But I don't believe in just being lazy and procrastinating. I don't like putting off what I can do today, tomorrow. You know, and it's just been something that's, I don't know how it's been embedded in me.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, why procrastinate? I know what it is, because, you know, for me, the ultimate opinion of myself is what I think of myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if you don't think of yourself as anything, if you think of somebody who's lazy, who procrastinates, somebody who, you know, make promises and don't follow through, then you know what? That brings on depression. That brings on, decreased self-esteem, and I don't want that. Look, I'm 5'5" on a good day. People are like, hey, does that bother you? That never bothered me because I feel like I'm 6 foot, 7 foot tall because I don't procrastinate. I just follow through what I promised to myself. That's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, I remember Ed Milet always says your confidence is how, like, if you follow through on your word.
So true.
Like, it's in yourself. For me at least, fitness is one of the things that's increased my confidence so much, but following through. Because, other people are going to be confident in you, you're dependable, you're reliable,
Yes.
and when you say something, you're going to do it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts on that.
Yes.
So then, okay, so you're in chiropractic school, you're doing all these 2 jobs and everything. How did that transition go from graduating into starting your business?
So while I was in chiropractic school, one of my jobs was a personal trainer, and I became the district manager for this company that, was inside of LA Fitnesses. And I remember I was busting, my ass for this company, great people. And I remember, like it was yesterday, I was overseeing LA Fitness in Chino, Anaheim, Hills, Anaheim, Block and Orange, Laguna, and a few others.
How long did it take you to get up to that position?
It took me a couple of years.
Yeah.
I started as a personal trainer, then went to assistant manager, then went to manager, then I went to district manager.
Okay.
And one day my boss called me right here in Mimi's in Chino. And it was like 7 o'clock at night. I was getting ready for a bodybuilding show, so I was low carb, so I was like already like hypoglycemic. I went to Mimi's, you smell muffins, and my boss said, hey, we're going to close down our doors. And I literally almost blacked out because I've been working so hard for the company and all that kind of stuff. And there's all these employees and everybody, and I'm going like, what do you mean? It's like, well, we're not making it. So we're going to pull out of LA Fitness and, all that kind of stuff. So I was devastated. So he gave his notice to LA Fitness. I contacted LA Fitness and I said, is it a possibility for me to have a chance at taking one location over? And LA Fitness said, well, not a chance. And I kept persisting because I didn't have the financials. You need to have a few $100,000 in the bank.
Yeah.
I had that kind of, but I kept, I said, look, I know the clients and I know everything and I know I can make it work. So because I had a relationship with one of the vice presidents of LA Fitness, which was directly underneath the owners, he put in a good word for me and they made an exception, but starting that business required $35,000 up front. And so I only had $20,000 saved up from all the years. I would live in a little apartment, I had $20,000 saved up, and I spread them through my books, so nobody can steal the books. I didn't, I know a thief will not read the book.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, I only have $20,000. So I called my mom. I said, Mom, I need $20,000. I'll pay you back in a year with interest. Mom said, for what? I'm like, Mom, trust me, I need it. This is a business. And she goes, are you sure? And she goes, yes. So I borrowed 20 grand from my mom. I had $20,000 saved up. That's $40,000. $35,000 went to LA Fitness for the business opportunity. First month's rent and the security deposit. And literally, I had $5,000 left in my name, and I had $17,500 due in 30 days and payroll.
That's pressure.
So, Justin, I was the worst salesperson in the world before this. I couldn't sell because, where we come from, sales is like a sleazy thing to do.
Yeah.
And so having my back against the wall, I had 2 choices. Either make sales or go back to Pennsylvania. I was already in Southern California. I always loved the weather. I always loved the lifestyle. And now I became the greatest salesperson in the world. I was cutting deals. I was talking to everybody. I was telling everybody, hey, I just took over this business and I want to do that. I want to sign you up. I'll take care of you. And I made it work. Man. To this day, I remember there was one night, because the rent was so high. The rent was $17,500. This was in year 2000.
Yeah, that's a lot.
You know what I mean? And I needed to make $40,000 to make things work. $40,000 in gross revenue. That's a lot of hustling. And I remember there's so many nights that I was like, what am I going to do? Where am I going to make payroll? I'm going to be able to make this. And one night in particular, Justin, I was sleeping, and And all of a sudden, I felt this pressure on my chest. I felt like somebody like stepped with their big boot, on my chest, and I started breathing heavy. And next thing you know, I started sweating profusely, and I'm talking about my whole bed was wet. I was sweating so hard. I'm like, all right, man, I'm just gonna die. This is a heart attack. This is the big one. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, I woke up. My clothes were drenched. I'm talking about drenched, and I went to the doctor and I said, Doc, I had a heart attack last night. I don't know what to do. So they're like, well, let's hook you up to an EKG machine. You have to wear this EKG machine for a few days, and so we can see what happened to your heart. So I wore this EKG machine a couple of days. I come back to goes, there's nothing wrong with your heart. I'm like, how do you explain what happened? He goes, oh, you had a stress attack. And stress attack for people who had a mimics heart attack very closely, except it's not the heart. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what is a stress attack? And I felt so weak because for me, I was that strong person all the time, able to handle whatever I could. And once I saw that, I felt that, okay, I'm not superhuman. Wait a second, I thought I could conquer everything, but the stress of owning the business and working 70, 80 hours a week and having the stress of making payroll and everything really got to me. And when a lot of people, see my life now, Justin, like, oh, he had it easy. Oh my God, like look at him, he's an overnight success. I started in year 2000. So my overnight success took 2017 to 20 years.
Yeah.
And they don't see, the stress attacks. They don't see the 70, 80-hour work weeks. They don't see the sleepless nights. They don't see the bankruptcy that I had to file. They don't see my home was being foreclosed on. They don't see the failed marriage and everything that I had to do with it. They walk on your chapter 20, mm-hmm. And then they go, oh wow, the guys just had it easy. Man, you have no idea.
Yeah. How do you go into that first month and only have $5,000 to your name, and next month I have to make a $17,000 payment, and then next month I have to make a $17,000 payment? Like, what did that look like for you in that thought process of considering to do that?
I'm like, look, I got to make this work because I don't want to practice chiropractic.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back to Pennsylvania. And I wholeheartedly believe that, I get this question asked all the time. And they're like, Sam, should I go all into something or should I try to juggle two things right now and try to work? Like yesterday, I had one of my mentees ask me, Sam, should I go all into real estate or try to get a job to make some money now and then kind of do real estate? And my first question is this: are you married? Do you have kids?
Yeah, that changes things.
What is your overhead? Mm-hmm. If you don't have a lot of overhead, which I highly suggest for young entrepreneurs and young kids to do, you don't need the big car payment. That's why I respect you guys so much. I see your car, and I honestly think is the best thing ever. Yeah. I think it's the best thing ever. I respect it. I think that's the best thing you can do. Sure, you can go get a fancy car or all that. Anybody can go lease a BMW these days and all that kind of stuff. That's not like that. You drive a beater for a reason. Mm-hmm. You drive a beater for a reason. You have a bigger goals and things like that, and you're stacking money away because you want to get into real estate because you don't want to get in a rat race. You understand that? But so many kids in a young age don't want to get in a rat race. They want to, they want to get the BMW and they want to, wear the latest thing and all that because they want to look cool. Well, guess what? Later on, if you get in a rat race, that means you have to have a job to be able to pay for that thing. That means you don't have time to work on your dreams. Yeah. So you have a lot more time when you don't have kids and you don't have a spouse. You can take more risk. But when you have a kid and a spouse, you're limited. You can't take as many risks. Once you're gonna put them at risk, and two, you got to go make ends meet to be able to provide for your family. Yeah. So it's very important at that young age to be able to set those foundations to be able to get yourself ahead in life.
Uh-huh. So how do you grow the business?
Okay. So I didn't know anything about sales. I didn't know anything about marketing. Mm-hmm. All I knew is how to talk to people, provide excellent service, and just put in hours. That's all I did. So I put in the hours. I made every call. I followed up. Everybody that was in the LA Fitness, I went and offered them a free workout. It's very important for everyone to understand. Nobody wants to do anything complimentary these days. But the best way for you to gain somebody's some value is give first.
That's what
Give
I did
first.
with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
give first. You came in and you're like, Sam, can I be an intern? You came in, as an intern, Sam, what do you need me to do? What do you need me to do? You prove yourself. I'm like, man, this guy works hard. This guy is great. And then I'm like, all right, well, why don't we just get you on and work for me? And that's what all happened. But everybody wants to know, what are you going to do for me? How much are you going to pay me? What are you going to do for me? So you know how many hours of one-on-one training I've done to build, to get a client? In a typical day, I have 10 training appointments, 10 1-hour training appointments. 3 will cancel, right? So I have 7 training appointments. Out of 7, 7 hours of one-on-one consultation, I might close 2 or 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And people don't want to do that anymore. Nobody wants to do the old-fashioned style. All they want to do is put maybe a ClickFunnels page on and run some ads, and all of a sudden you go to the bank laughing. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Everybody's looking for the new tactic, what's the new sales method? How do I close them? All this stuff. But it's just, like you said, it's hard work. It's good business. It's
relationships.
It's just helping people.
Relationships. You can't build relationships behind a computer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I went to LA Fitness, and I capitalized on their traffic. LA Fitness has a bunch of people coming in to work out. Mm-hmm. So I see somebody doing something wrong. Hey, you know what? Let me show you a better way to do that bicep curl. Come here real quick. Let me show you. Extend your arms down and make sure move your elbows and go through the whole thing. Oh, by the way, you know what? Let me know if you're interested in getting a free workout with me. I'll do your body fat analysis and all that kind of stuff and come up with a game plan. When is it good for you? And one client at a time. Concentrate on it.
Okay. So how'd you build? How'd you gain momentum?
So I started building it. One client at a time. Then I started, hiring trainers under me, and I started building it. But when I decided that I want to actually, look, man, I have a business. Hey, I need to get mentors. For the first 3 or 4 years of my business, it wasn't even an LLC or a corporation. It was, Fitness Concepts, Sam Bakhtiar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I understood, wait a second, man, I need to have a corporation, decrease liability. I need to have a payroll service. I need to understand sales, marketing. I need to understand systems.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And once I understood, sales, marketing, systems, I started scaling the business.
Okay.
I started scaling the business. I started, learning the power of marketing, power of persuasion, power of putting a team together to be able to carry a business with a well-oiled machine. Because I was never taught that in school. Mm-hmm. Nobody taught me the proper business, ethics. Nobody taught me about LLC or S corporation.
Yeah.
I knew everything about anatomy and physiology, but nothing about that.
Yeah. That's where I think school fails in a big part. Is I don't remember what book I was reading, but they'll teach someone chiropractic, but they won't teach them how to start a practice, how to get clients, how to do all that stuff. And so that's one of the biggest, I think, setbacks and failures of school.
100%. 100%. They teach you they teach you the know-how.
Yeah.
Okay, but they don't teach you how to sustain it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So many people that went to chiropractic school, they didn't do well because they didn't have that.
Yeah. Okay. So then you're putting in those systems, you're putting in the marketing systems and everything. Then what happens next?
My business started blowing up. First, I learned how to put ads in the yellow pages. You probably don't know nothing about that. You heard of them, just probably like a dinosaur. Then I learned how to, do ads in magazines and local magazines and newspapers. Then Google came around. Then we started, trying to do search engine optimization on Google. Then Groupon came around. Then we started running ads in Groupon. Then Facebook and Instagram came around, and then we learned how to be able to, do things like that. And marketing changes. The medium changes, but the basics always remain the same. And marketing is basically how to be able to get people to know your services and be able to persuade people and be able to make sure that people understand the difference between you and the next guy.
Yeah, the method is different, but the mission is the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So okay, so then why did you want to grow your business? Because so many people are just, I'm a personal trainer, I make good money. What do you think separates those people who, I want to treat this as a business, I want to get people under me, versus just someone who just treats it like a job?
Well, I knew that being a personal trainer wasn't a sustainable model for me, because me being a personal trainer I was going to be trading time for money.
Yeah.
Right? And whenever you train time with money, you have a glass ceiling. I don't care if you can work 24 hours, you don't require sleep. You still are,
You're capped.
You're capped. So I knew that for me to be able to grow and not be capped, I need to keep on. Plus, I always envision myself, hey, I want to become a father.
Yeah.
I want to become a father. I don't want to go work 80 hours, 60 hours and not be with my child.
Yeah.
So I was envisioning that. So I knew that I had to come up with a better plan. And believe it or not, one of my mentors, taught me, hey, Sam, you got to work on your business, not in your business. And that was a revelation to me. That's when I was like, wow, I was so uncomfortable giving my clients to another trainer. I'm like, oh, they only want me. They're not going to train with nobody else. They want me. And, I had to let that go.
What's up, guys? Thanks so much for getting in this far in the interview. We hope you've enjoyed it. Talking with Sam was amazing. Because of how long it is, we're releasing 2 parts. So part 2 is coming next week. So make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell so you know when it comes out, and we'll see you guys there.